Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Friday the 12th of January. Crikey, it seems like we're halfway through and it's only just started. Anyway, let's get on and look at these markets. First things first, let's have a quick look at news coming out today. Well, it's all about PPI today. Yesterday it was all about US inflation, which came in higher than expected. Weird old bit of price action on that news. Today, well, we've already seen the UK GDP data coming out. Some of it coming out better than expected here. Some of the figures not so good. So a bit of a mixed bag there. Seeing the pound slightly sold at the moment. Aside of that, we've got today. Then, as I said, we've got the US core PPI. So that's interesting. It's the headline figure here at 1.3 is what's been showing up here is more important, but it's the core figures that are often taken by the Fed as being key. Anyway, so that's at 1:30. Morning, Ravi, Phil. Morning. So let's get on and look at these markets and see what they're up to technically. Euro dollar, well, it really starting to feel like Groundhog Day. Just pinch myself and just look at the date and make sure the date's actually changed. But we're consolidating. I can see that it's moving on, but it's not moving on because of the price action on this chart. The price is consolidating. Even it's still sitting around these sort of lows in this price action here. As it stands, if it starts moving, breaks the 50, the trend line I've got on here, more importantly this level, or I say as importantly this level here, I think we'll get a bigger correction. However, we'll have to wait and see for that, because it seems that it's struggling to do anything too much, and whilst it's like this, it's not particularly tradable. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure traders will get something out of this, but it's not for me. And when I say it's not tradable in terms of my rules. So I'll leave that alone. Anyway, but it's worth you understanding what an ugly chart looks like, and that's one. Oh, here's another one. So the pound really marginally pushing up. It's sly. It's put an update a day there again, but barely moved much, a fractional high, but it's sort of all intraday sort of action. And yes, I mean, if you look at the 4 hours, 4 hourly, it actually came down pretty nicely there. In a sense, it sold off following the news, only to turn back later on into the evening there, 6 o'clock. We've saw the sort of pick up there, but it's again, you look at the trading price action before the news came out, and it was pretty ugly. It looked like at one stage it was going to sell back down towards its pivot, just as the euro was, and then got the kicker where the euro did actually slide through yesterday, but eventually, well, as this did. But anyway, again, ugly price action. That's what ugly price action looks like from my perspective anyway. Now I say that because, as I said, some other people might think, well, this is wonderful. US dollar yen. Well, the yen actually yesterday ended up positive against the US dollar here. US dollar kicked in, eventually ran into the 50 MA, daily 50, the monthly R1, and has done this sort of shooting star, bit of a failing candle. To me, it looks like it could start coming down, but I've still my line in the sand is right away down here. Now yesterday, we went long on on this yesterday, on the 60-minute time frame, which personally I managed to stay in. I haven't asked the other guys yet whether they got caught out. This little spike here was considerably bigger on some brokers than others. I didn't even get the spike down there. It just literally went straight as the news came out. It went straight up there, but spreads were widened at this point quite a bit by looks of things, and it's given it that spike. Anyway, today, looking at this, it has put a lower high in, a marginal lower high and a low on this lower time frame. A break of the lows, of the 3 o'clock lows, could just sort of signify further downside back, maybe to this quarterly pivot that sits below here. Certainly, if it breaks this before breaks the S1 before it hits the pivot, then it's got a good probability of running down there. Not the biggest of targets, that's the only thing as I'm looking at it at the moment. Doesn't look that appealing. Aussie dollar. Well, the Aussie dollar, when it comes onto play, I'm ready. Here we go. So the Aussie dollar here continues to sit there chopping away. It did in the afternoon session catch this the lower side here, and I did have an alert on both sides of this. I actually missed this. I was busy recording, and I saw the alarm go off. It would have been a bit late for me to start trading this at 6 o'clock at night, but it's done the move, basically, or done a good part of the move. I was waiting to short it yesterday morning. It never came up there to that point there, but it is still playing a range. Okay, a bigger range now, because it's broken. Actually, this is where my original alarm was, on these lows here. So it's taken out and gone a bit further. So it's in the middle of nowhere now. I'll leave that one then. US dollar CAD, but at least it's got some sort of movement, but it's all driven by the news at this stage. Canadian dollar, another one that's sort of pitched up there, ran into a key moving average yesterday, rolled over, and looks like it's got the scope. I'm still waiting, as Elton John said. I need it to break down these lows here for me to get into my swing idea. It's just carried on putting new higher lows in. It's flattened out, and yep, that was spiked on the news event, but we'll see what happens if we can get a breakdown at some point. My preference now, of course, is not to do it on the Friday but the Monday. I don't like holding over the weekends when we just entering the trade. If I'm in the trade, that's fine, and it's running. Don't necessarily like entering on a Friday, but we'll see what happens there. Okay, a couple of the cross pairs. Well, I'm going to look at them more in the room. There's a link on the bottom of this YouTube video. You can come in and come in with me and look if you're interested. Look at the rest of the markets I'm looking at. US dollar Swissy, another market I'm sort of been looking at for the potential rollover. Just not happening. A lot of these markets just not happening. I was looking at the Swissy yen yesterday. Goodness knows what happened to that then in the end. It didn't move the same. It certainly didn't move the same as what we were looking at elsewhere. I left it alone anyway. I was looking at the upside. It just carried on sneaking off to the downside before the news. So okay, so not a great deal happening. I would say I'll come back onto that for those looking at the equity markets, etc. Let's just look at gold for you first. Switch through these quite quickly. Then look at the bigger picture on gold. Got a lift as well yesterday, and we're seeing a bit of continuation. We're seeing this for all the markets at the moment. Well, I say some of the markets at the moment, but just getting this little pick up at this stage. But overall, you turn it down to the 4-hourly, and it shows its hand here. It's ugly, and that doesn't mean say if you're bigger trader, a bigger term trader, you need to trade it off the 4-hourly. But it's well worth looking below to see what's happening. It can tell us structurally quite a lot. This at the moment, well, it's got this concern. You can see how many times it's had at breaking this 20-40 area, just struggling. Gold, oil, that was gold. Oil's not doing a great deal better here. It's just consolidating, easing its way slowly up, maybe. Just as they announced that it's the cheapest petrol in the UK for a long time. Okay, because it's a monopoly. Anyway, it's still a mess. This, but looks like with this higher low that's been printed here, that we got more chance of more continuation, slightly to the upside there in that lower time frame. Bigger time frame well, still very iffy. S&Ps, the minis, well, yes, they did run into the double top territory, but sold off a little bit. That data wasn't particularly good. High inflation is not good for the S&Ps, but it started ignoring it. If you look back in the afternoons, we saw the bounces running through all these markets, and the S&Ps was no different there. Quite ugly as it sits at the moment. Maybe we'll get a reversal and a continuation later, but quite ugly. DAX. So DAX. Horrible old price action when you come down and looking at it on the 4-hourly time frames, getting into quite a chop. This lower time frame, I'm looking at this and thinking, well, if it was to break this what is 1662 on my chart here, might be different looking depending on what your broker's shown you as your prices. But looking at the price action or the low of that 4 o'clock candle, well, it may come in and look more bearish slightly, but the overall pitch, you can't forget the overall pitch is still bullish, so perhaps it's just one to watch. And finally the FTSE. So the FTSE chopping away, coming off slightly there. Actually yesterday back into its lower highs, lower lows. Now this is probably a better looking one on the short side, although it's just gone and popped its head. Pushed itself above that daily pivot, but I'd watch this and see if it was to reverse. I would look at, if this was any other market, I'd look at the break of this current low here, current high bar here, and look for the low side if it was started selling off. Lovely bear flag, it all fits everything else, but might never happen. Right, that's pretty much it with the currencies. I better look at Bitcoin, as we had the lovely ETF news there that was pretty well priced in for a long time. And oh, there we go, it's done nothing much more then. So for the people that said it would go up to the moon as soon as it was, that's right up higher, that is. It's not done a great deal as it's run into the 48 area. To be fair, as I said before, it consolidated around the highs there all month. It deserved to push up there, and it's really just gone not a great deal more than the range of the range of the range, or the depth of the range, I should say. So it's not moved massively over there, and it's been it was in the market already. So hasn't left it any more real scope to push anything else or further. Be interesting to see over the weekend if we get sellers just sort of netting their profits, taking any profits they've got coming in. We'll see. Lots of weird things happen with crypto over the weekend. Right, okay, on that note, I wish you a great weekend, and I'll catch you later. Bye for now.